there's going to be a massive wealth transfer in these brick and mortar businesses that are going out and making things happen. So your local mom and pop shop, you look at dry cleaners, laundromats, HVAC, plumbing companies, pest control. These are all things that people are going to need regardless of what's happening. These are services business. So while dry cleaning may decline a little bit because different clothes are starting to innovate, plumbing's always going to need plumbing. There are boring, highly successful companies that you can be able to acquire and bring them all together.
Welcome to the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast, the ultimate destination for accredited investors and entrepreneurs seeking alternative wealth-building strategies. Discover how to fast-track your journey to wealth and time freedom by thinking outside the box. If you're ready to join the ranks of the Contrarian Capitalists and learn the most effective ways to reach your financial goals faster, you're in the right place. Let's get started with today's episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast.
Thank you once again for listening to another episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast. I'm your host and your favorite silverback, Sylvania Harrod. And on today's episode, what I'm going to talk to you about is the wonderful world of Codie Sanchez and how you can implement the same strategy that she uses to help her grow her business. So thank you guys. I want to start off with Codie Sanchez and why I have so much love and respect for Codie Sanchez. I've been consuming a lot of her content, looking at some of the things that she talks about, and there's a lot of good fundamentals and principles that we have there. But as always, on the episode, I like to take you behind the scenes so you can build a similar structure for you inside of your business. So Codie Sanchez is very, very popular right now. She's on multiple different podcasts, multiple different platforms. If you look at a lot of things she talks about, her main thesis is buying boring businesses. There's going to be a massive wealth transfer in these brick and mortar businesses that are going out and making things happen. So your local mom and pop shop, you look at dry cleaners, laundromats, HVAC, plumbing companies, pest control. These are all things that people are going to need regardless of what's happening. These are services business. So while dry cleaning may decline a little bit because different clothes are starting to innovate, plumbing's always going to need plumbing. HVAC's always going to need HVAC because we need here, at least in the States, you need those type of items. There are boring, highly successful companies that you can be able to acquire and bring them all together. So this is known as a roll-up. So let's say, for example, I went ahead and I bought 10 laundromats. I can roll them up underneath a company, and by bringing them all together and creating a package deal, I have 3 to 4x the value of the properties, because higher level investors don't like buying singular assets. They like buying bulk assets because now their main mission in life is to buy cash producing assets. You can bring them together. So if I pay, the valuation is going to be, I'm paying 3 years of profit that I can see in the numbers. I'm going to give you that in one lump sum. Great. Because now I know I'm going to hold that asset for possibly 7 to 10 years. And I have 7 years of profits and predictability that I can be able to go there. So, but what's the real structure behind Codie Sanchez? Most of you don't know that while she's talking about these with her Contrarian Media Group, she actually started based upon working at Goldman Sachs, which is an investment bank. So she went from being an investment banker after she graduated, going there, understanding the ropes of the things that I'm telling you about. Most structures or most things that happen to be there is built upon capital. So if you look at, let's just say a large hospital. A hospital is built on the backs of what's referred to as a syndication, because all big companies respect the law of OPM, using other people's money. So what they'll do is they'll develop a syndication that will go ahead and allow them to crowdfund, in a way, the down payment for the hospital. So they'll just go out, grab the money, be able to put it all together using OPM, and then for that, I'm going to give you a return. Sometimes they'll give you what's called a debt return, or they'll give you an equity return. Equity means you have ownership in the building. So if I took, let's just say it's a $10 million building, I'm going to need normally about 25% of that in a down payment. I'm not going to use my money. So I'm going to go out and crowdfund 25% of the building. And the return I'm going to give you for lending me your money is going to be about 10%. So if you're an investor and you go ahead and you put in $100,000, the expectation is that at a 10% return, and it's going to be held for 3 years because you got to build it and do the repairs to be able to be there, which is determined in the rules of syndication. You're going to walk away with $130,000 at the end of the year if you're only a debt partner. If you're an equity partner, because what I'm going to do is increase the valuation of the building. Let's say I increased the value of the building from 10 million to 20 million. And as my debt and equity partner, you're going to own 10% of the equity of there. I'm going to refinance out. So now, instead of it being 130,000 because I increased the value, you're going to walk away with $200,000 after 3 years. You're making a 30% return year over year. That's pretty healthy, right? Like you go through that process. So that's how Codie Sanchez got her start, was working on those type of deals. She understands the world of securities, which is pretty much you have fund or a syndication. So she started in that path and then went to a different private equity firm and was one of the partners of that firm to help them in expansion through Latin America. This structure allowed her to build her war chest to go and start a fund. So she went ahead and she's in the world of private equity. Her thesis is based upon, and you can find it just by Googling the name of her private equity firm. Her thesis is boring businesses that are doing $3 million in revenue. And the objective is to buy them, add technology to them, make them more efficient, and grow them. I'm going to guess her objective is probably a 5 to 7 year hold, and then going to sell them as part of a larger group to a larger private equity firm. Now you're seeing where this is going, right? So what is the most important thing you can have when you have a fund? It's called deal flow. You need deal flow. So I have an option. I can either go and get the deal flow myself, or I can train an army of people to go out and bring me deal flow. If you're paying attention, you'll realize why she started media. Because you hear me say this, capital is infinite, attention is limited. So what can you do to ensure that you have consistent deal flow? You get people's attention. You teach them what your ideal buy box is. If you teach them how to hunt for what you're looking for, guess what will end up happening? They will go find it and they will bring those deals. And in some of them, they can take it down. They have it. But if they want to have a capital partner that's going to be there, a la her private equity firm, hey, you find this deal, I can give you a % of equity for be able to find this. And you can earn a piece of the cut for bringing that deal to me. So as a student who doesn't know anything about the world to go there, I'm going to be doing that stuff all day long. She just launched a new platform where there's deals on the site. Another reason. Why? You want to control attention. You want to control deal flow. You also want to build a business that has consistent deal flow because you can sell that site later on. As you're building that, anything that absolutely meets your requirements, you can cherry pick it off the site. Be able to go ahead and say, hey, I'll inject capital into there. I'm not saying her intents are malicious or anything like that. What I'm saying is that I'm just bringing attention to how this game works. Because if you understand how the game works, then you can play the same game. Key thing is as you're out there building and scaling your business, you can scale your business intentionally with the efforts of making sure that you're always a good acquisition target. But the beautiful thing is that you have the opportunity to go through the process, build things properly, and build a war chest. Because once you build your war chest, then you can get to a place where you can start your own fund. Now you're seeing where I'm going. The goal in life and the North Star, Nirvana, however you want to refer to it, is the ultimate level of success that all billionaires use is having your own fund. Once you have a fund, it is the most profitable vehicle you can possibly have. Let's just look at the math. Let's say Codie had $100 million fund, which you've heard me say this before, and I'll say it every time. Big money, way easier to get than small money. She can get access to big money because she already has working projects that she's been able to do and deliver. But if you don't have that, it doesn't matter. What you do is you find a firm that allows you to get access to big money, which is me. You listen to this, you can be able to do this. You can schedule a call. We can talk about it. But big money is easier than small money. She has a $100 million fund. So based upon that, what she's doing is her thesis is I'm going to acquire these smaller businesses in what's called a diversification fund. I'm going to find these and I'm going to scale them because I understand how to do sales and marketing. So if she buys, let's say it's a $3 million company doing $1 million in profit per year, she's probably going to buy them for a 3x multiple, just for simple math. 3x multiple, that's $3 million because they have profit, initial injection into them. She's going to buy them at $3 million. So the reality is, but they're cash flowing, right? So that's $1 million in profit she just acquired. If she goes out and acquires, let's say about 30 of these companies, she now has a business that is doing $90 million in revenue, $30 million in profit. The beautiful thing is the pref rate for the big money she had is probably 15%. So pref rate or preferred rate of return is what the private equity banks want you to give them in order to dance. So 15, if you're at 30 mil, you have 15 mil, you do the math. There's 15 mil of opportunity that happens to be sitting there. So that's just her money. You can go to the bank and be able to do things. The whole objective is if it's a 5-year fund, you just need to, at the end of that day, return $175 million back to the bank. They say, thank you, do it again, do it again, do it again. And now these businesses, because they're rolled up underneath one entity, are now worth 6x. So you bought assets at 100, they're actually probably worth more than that because you have 30 mil in profit, which knowing her, she's going to grow them. So they're going to get to $50 million in profit. Somebody's going to come in and give you 8 to 10x of profit on that. So you walk away with $500 million. You only owe 175. You take 325, you park it, you pay off the different partners, different things to be able to go there. You celebrate, have a party, and get back to work. Because this is the way it goes. So how can you use the exact same strategy inside of your business and what you're doing? Key thing is you have to know where you want to go. So if you know that, hey, my objective is I don't want to deal with all the structure to be able to be there. Okay, great. That's fine. The base level floor of getting started is ensuring that what you're currently doing is dialed in. Codie's able to do this because Codie spent the years required in order to be able to understand how to evaluate a deal and how to build a structure. She has that level of experience. You can do the same thing yourself. Get the level of experience or hire the right people to come into the organization if you don't have that experience. Build your company to something to where you can go ahead and you have assets that you can utilize to start getting in the world of private equity. You can go through that place. You can go ahead and reach out to a firm that helps you build securities. You can go through that process because maybe you do have assets. Maybe you are moving in the right direction. You're just like, all right, cool. My goal in the next 3 years is to be able to go ahead and build my own fund. Get in the pipeline. Understand the decisions you need to be able to make. Create clear and defined goals. Now, once you have those clear and defined goals, you got to be good at what you do. You either want to scale your type of business because maybe you can replicate it. Codie had the experience to be able to do it. So the key thing is start where you are today. Don't worry about tomorrow. I will say don't worry about tomorrow, but actually start where you are today by ensuring it gets you to the destination of where you want to be tomorrow. Because if you do that, now you have an opportunity to build something that is scalable, that is exitable, and you have the ability to go and start your own fund. So with that being said, I'm going to land the plane now and just let you know that knowing and having a clear defined path of where you want to be tomorrow allows you to reverse engineer to the steps you need to be taking every single day. And that's the only way you'll guarantee, because we always live in the residual of our thoughts, beliefs, and actions. So predict your future. Start taking the step toward a particular destination. And I assure you, we can't control the time, but you're more than likely to end up there. I hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, you can find me on the different social media platforms at the handle at my first name, Sylvania, last name, Harrod. I really appreciate you. As always, stay grateful, my friends, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Cheers.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe, rate, and leave us a review on your preferred podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more people ready to explore contrarian investment strategies. Stay connected with us on social media for more expert insights, behind-the-scenes content, and updates on upcoming episodes. You can find all the links in the show notes. Until next time, stay bold, think differently, and keep pursuing the legacy you deserve. Thanks for listening to the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast.